If you had any superpower, what would you want it to be? Or it doesn't have to be a superpower. It could be like, uh, you could be a vampire if you want, or just among the realm of those like abilities type thing, or a quirk if you will, for all our weebs out
Oh
there.
yeah, from okay. Um, when I was younger, I really wanted to be a werewolf,
Hmm.
like, but not like one of those like freaky ones that not like a Hemlock Grove
Yeah, jeez.
like werewolf. I wanted to be like a ooh, look at me, I'm a little bit of a hairy boy, running around. um, I can jump far and shit like that. I thought that'd be cool.
Mm.
I don't know. Come back to me. Come back to me,
All
Chief.
right.
What about you?
When I was younger as well, I think I wanted telekinesis type thing, or
Yeah.
there's another one. Now I've lost it. It's between telekinesis and something else, but now I've lost that. So, but like watching things like My Hero Academia, it's like that's so creative with like the
Shit
superpowers.
powers.
It's like
Yeah.
I would never be able to think of some of the stuff that's on that show in like a million years.
Well, like if you had the power,
Yeah, like well,
would you
just those kind of abilities. Like I wouldn't be able to think of them pretty much. Like, oh, I can.
like fucking duplet arms, bitch
Yeah,
ass.
I've got spikes coming out of my back, and they could shoot off. Like that kind of thing. I don't know. But if it was like, uh, oh, teleportation. That was it. I always kind of wanted teleportation, and
Yeah, that's kind of hard.
I
Like as
think
a
about that
jumper.
one a lot as well. Still to this day, because I go, if I had it, and if it was in the like, if I had to like work on the power, I'd think it would start off as like short distance. You can look at a place and you could go there, but then like
Yeah.
it would evolve into like thinking about it in your mind, and it's like you can see. I don't know if I was in my uni place and I could see my bedroom in my head, shut my eyes, then I'm there. That would be a pretty cool evolution of it. But yeah. So back to you then.
You know what? No, that's a very good one. Yeah,
Teleportation.
I used to love the movie Jumper
Oh yeah.
when I was younger. No, it's not a great film. It's just a film. But I used to love it. Yeah, teleportation would have been a pretty cool one. Uh, or like being like having like a healing factor.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, I always thought of that
that
one
that
as
was
well.
another one. Cause like yeah, I was like, oh, become like a sick assassin and blah blah blah. Yeah, I feel like I was a very delusional child up until I was like 17. It was fairly late. It was way too late. Um, but yeah, you know what? Maybe we have our own superpower, and it's podcasting.
Oh yeah.
The two damn cousins out, they're watching movies. Oh, hi there, welcome back to another episode of Reinventing the Real. I'm Curtis.
I am Cameron.
How are you doing this week?
Yeah, I'm really good.
Yeah.
I had a good day this morning.
Oh yeah.
Feeling very productive. So I'm excited for this episode as well.
I've been pumped for this one for a few days.
How are you doing as well?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad.
That's
I've
cool.
been trying to do like uni stuff and
Yeah.
this and that and etc etc. Because I've only got like 2 months and I'm done forever.
Ugh.
What a time to be alive. Anyway, this is episode 16.
16.
Yeah, I feel like I say this every week, and I say this every week as well. Um, this is the podcast where we repitch some of our favorite films, movies, TV shows. It doesn't even have to be favorite ones. It could be ones that we feel like have been fairly disappointing, or just haven't had the chance to shine.
Yeah.
This week, we are doing something that I know was pivotal to my childhood.
Oh yeah.
For you as well?
Yeah, I think a lot of British children grew
Mm.
up with CBBC. Couldn't like
Yeah.
didn't have Disney Channel or Nickelodeon. Right.
You used to just have Freeview, and
Yeah.
you just watch CBBC, CITV,
Mm.
and CBeebies every now and again.
Pop as well.
Pop, yeah, my
Yeah.
mum still watches Pop.
They had some cool stuff on there. Anyway, we digress.
Yeah.
This episode is it's mean it's an idea I've had for a while. Like pre-real. Like I think it was around this time last year, maybe like February. I remember seeing the new season of Mona the Vamp. No, that's what we're doing. Sorry, spoiler alert. New season of Sabrina was coming out, and I was like, it'd be sick if Netflix did a Mona the Vampire Netflix original. I feel like that would be really cool. And but I don't think. I mean, if Netflix hear this, a couple of weeks from now, we just see Netflix has picked up the rights for Mona the Vampire. So you heard it here first. If this happens, but yeah, we're gonna do our take on a sort of Netflix original, Mona the Vampire.
Show us your fangs. Yeah, Mona. Grab your cat. Grab your cat.
Birdie man. I've had that stuck in my head all fucking week. All week. I can't even exaggerate how long that shit's been stuck there.
But if you don't know what Mona the Vampire is, then it's about a girl. She's got quite a overactive
Vivid.
imagination. Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe she is a vampire. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Well,
Nah, it's her imagination.
but yeah, she gets into all these hijinks with her
With her friends Lily and
Charles.
is that his
Charlie?
name? Yeah, something like that.
Charlie Bones.
Charlie, yeah, Charlie. Charlie, yeah, Charlie.
So, yeah, I guess we'll just get into it. What we're gonna do is just. I've got a base idea, but obviously we need to put some.
Put some of our signature sauce on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get caught off guard with what comes up in the reel.
I
Reel.
bet. Cameron.
Spin that reel.
Grab your cat. Spin the reel. Birdie man. There's no escape.
Oh, and we got. I can't really do that. It has to be a buddy cop thing.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of ties in with what I sort of want to do. But yeah.
All right. Must star Michael Cera.
Okay.
And the final one. It also has to star Steve Buscemi.
All right. Fair enough. That'll do then. Right. So, let's just jump straight in. Mona the Vampire episode 16. My base idea I had for this was Mona is going into high school, whatever,
Okay.
and it's just the show is like going to be supernatural, obviously,
Nice.
but it's also like growing up as well. So it deals with like growing up and whatnot. It's sort of coming of age, but it's also got that like signature Netflix CW like teeny bop drama, yeah.
Yeah.
So Mona's going into high school, and maybe like there'd be a scene before it of like their sort of last summer in their like the school before. I don't really know what to call it because where are they from? Like
middle school?
middle school, yeah. Let's go for that. And they're like, oh, we're going into high school now, like
Yeah.
is this going to be like the last time the gang's together, like doing a vampire, Zapman, and Princess Giant, all that kind of stuff? Like, is this the last time we're going to do?
You know the names. I forgot.
I'm not gonna lie, I also do have the character names up on the screen.
Oh,
so
less fun. I was like, oh, how did you remember Charlie? I didn't remember this.
But yeah, so they're like all together. They're like, it's just like the last time we're gonna do it. Like Mona's like, no, we can still do it in high school. Like, who cares? And like the bully comes up. Like there was the sassy girl or
Yeah.
whatever. Comes,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
like, oh, you guys are still doing that. You know, in high school, you like they're all gonna be mean to you for doing that. Like, you can't act like kids anymore. I like. Charlie and Lily are kind of like, yeah, she's kind of right, but Mona's like, nah, don't worry, like we can still do this. This is, the gang's still going to be together, ain't that right, Fang? And the cat's just like, meow.
Almost dead.
So yeah, then I guess Mona, like, they're like, oh, okay, well, this could be like our last mission. You never know. And Mona goes home. She's quite upset, and her parents are like, "Oh, what's wrong, honey? You hardly touched your Sonic the Hedgehog curry." Or whatever. And
I'm sorry. What?
have you not seen that meme where it's like, oh, you've hardly touched. What's wrong, babe? You hardly touched your, and it's like really strange food, like Minions, spaghetti or whatever.
No, I'm nah. That's
Oh,
not funny,
don't,
though.
don't worry. We'll skip over it. Whatever. So, yeah. So she's like, "Oh, I'm afraid of going into high school. I don't want to grow up. Like,
I
my
want to be a
friends
Toys
are
R Us kid.
my friends are like saying they don't want to really carry on playing like this, and you know, they want to focus on other things." And the mom's like, "Oh, Mona, you don't have to worry. Like, you can still do these things. Like, I'm sure no one will mind." And he's like, "Yeah, I guess." And yeah, she just goes to bed or whatever. And then it like cuts to maybe like when the school's starting and stuff, and it goes through that whole like, "Yeah, you got your bag or you got your lunch. I can't believe it's your first day of high school, or whatever."
She's like,
Mona's like,
"Mum,
"Oh,
stop
mom,
it."
yeah."
Yeah, yeah.
Well, maybe she's not like that. She's like, "Oh yeah, well, I wish you could like come in with me or whatever." Maybe she's got like a really good relationship with her mom, which could come back later. And yeah, she goes to high school. Like, you know how like Dora goes to high school in the movie, and she's like really optimistic
Yeah.
about it all. And I feel like that will be her character. Like,
Okay.
if people start picking on her and stuff, she's like, whatever, like, I don't care. So like, yeah, that's basically that's just the dynamic I'm gonna go for.
Okay.
And so she walks in with like Charlie and Lily, and they're like, "Oh, this is it, like first day of the rest of our lives," all that kind of stuff. And then they're they see like a teacher or like the groundskeeper or something, and he's played by Steve Buscemi. And they're like, "Oh my god, look at that guy!" And that's Mona's like, "Oh, he looks a bit creepy," and you know, like how it switches. Yeah, and it's kind of doing that, and then it kind of just cuts off, and Lily goes, "Mona, what did we say about like doing this kind of stuff? Like, we weren't gonna do this."
Don't be a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, Mona's like, "But that guy," and then Charlie's like, "I'm sure he's really nice," and walks up to him, talks to him, and Steve's like, "You kids better keep it clean around here. You know, if I catch you doing anything, I'll get you." But really, Steve Buscemi's character is going to be like he's going to play quite a role. I feel like he can play quite a role. So it goes through like some of the trials and tribulations of high school football. No, just that usual high school, like new to high school trope, basically.
Yeah.
Like you see all these new people, like everybody's falling into their own gang. So like that popular girl is like, she went right in, or maybe she hasn't, and she's like,
Yeah, no, yeah, I like the idea of her because we can bring that back later.
yeah, like she's trying really hard to get in with like a certain girl or whatever, and then they're just like not really having it. And then I think there was like a George, yeah, he used to wear his hat backwards and stuff, right?
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know. Everybody's kind of got like a group, and maybe he's like on his own or whatever. And Mona's like, oh, maybe we should go talk to him. And Charlie's like, oh, but you know what he used to do and that. And
Yeah.
Mona's like, yeah, but this is high school. Like, things are different now. Maybe he's different. And then,
He's basically Fragley.
yeah. And so Mona goes up to him and he's all like, oh, what do you want, you weirdo? Like, come to use your creepy imagination on me or whatever. And then Mona's like, oh, no, I just
Creepy
wanted, you looked kind of like alone. Like, what's wrong? Like, why aren't you socializing or whatever? And he's like, oh, I don't care, whatever. So then maybe he like starts on Mona, and then everybody around is like, oh, what are you doing that for? Like, this is a really 2020 high school, 2021 high
Yeah.
school, so like, everyone's like very politically correct, and they don't want
L-
bullies
like in
and all
21
that.
Jump Street, but a bit more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so everybody just switches on him, like, oh, what are you doing? Like, you can't pick on her. What's wrong with you? And then, he's like, screw you guys, and then he walks off or whatever. But that will come back later, similar to how the girl thing, anyway. So, yeah, she goes to her first class, and then the teacher walks in. He's like, okay, class, I hope you all get your books. And it's Michael Cera.
Fucking Michael Cera.
Yeah.
That's Michael.
And, yes, he's like, so we're going to be reading Dracula this summer. What? This semester.
Semester.
Yeah. And Mona's like, oh, I like vampires. Like, so she's like really into it. And, so maybe she was like the most skeptical about high school.
Yeah.
Whereas out of everyone, like, she's had the best day.
Mm.
So like everyone else around her is like, oh, my day wasn't that great or whatever. And yeah, so basically the first day went really well. But then after
Okay.
school, the two bullies, George and
Lenny.
what's her name? Angela. That's it. George and Angela are like, oh, we used to rule the school like back in middle school. Like, what happened? And they're like, oh, maybe everybody likes Mona here. Like, what is this? And Angela's like, oh, maybe if we showed the school like who she really is.
How much of a freak.
Yeah. And then I don't know, maybe they end up breaking into a house or something and stealing the costume.
Nice.
And so the next day, like, it's like a big flip. And Mona's like really happy to go to school, really excited. Ends up going there. Lunchtime, it all happens. Like, they're all talking about their days. Like, oh yeah, it's been good so far. Like, I really like the teacher, Mr. Cera, or whatever. And then George just stands up. He's like, hey everyone, we got something to show you. Your precious Mona. She's a bit of a freak or whatever. And then everyone's like,
What?
oh, well, freak. Oh, excuse me.
George! Oh, what a fucking snake.
And Andrews is all like, yeah, look at this. She still wears her pajamas like out and runs around, dresses up as a superhero. And then everybody just starts laughing. And they're like, oh, I know she was
Why did
being
George
bullied.
turn on her?
No, not-
what did
George is bad. George is because like
Oh,
he was
wait.
bullying her.
What? Wait, is George not her mate from?
No,
from
that's
before?
Charlie.
Oh,
She went
I was
up to
gonna
George.
say.
And then
Oh,
George
yeah,
was like
yeah.
bullying
Yeah,
her,
yeah.
and then the school turned on him basically. So
Oh,
yeah,
I was so confused. I thought you were talking
no,
about Charlie.
no. But then so they show all that stuff, and everyone's laughing at Mona, and then she just runs off. So then like
Yeah.
Charlie and Lily look at each other, and they're like, "Oh, we should go help," or whatever. She runs off. They can't find her, but then she ends up like going into like, I don't know, hiding in the janitor's closet and it or stuff. And then bloody Steve Buscemi, he's all like, what are you doing in here? What did I tell you about Superman? She's just like crying and stuff, and then he's like, oh, what's wrong, kid? Like, yeah, I hate to see someone like upset.
That gave me shivers. I'm not gonna lie.
So she's like, she tells him what happened, and like she's like, oh, I was having a really good day until this, and like, but I thought, high school was gonna be great now, even though like I was skeptical, but it's everything that I thought it was. And then he's like, don't worry, I see things like this happen all the time. Like, the people who are like, who this stuff happens to, always have like the best lives anyway, the most exciting things and all that. She's like, yeah, well, I used to have an exciting life as well. Like, and she tells him a bit about like what happened and how she's Mona the vampire and all that. And like Steve Buscemi's like visually like shudders. He's like, a vampire? You're not a real vampire or anything, are you? And she's like, no. Like, as much as I don't want to believe it, that stuff isn't real. And he's like, yeah, sure. And then well, he's like, oh well, they go through that, and he's like, oh, anytime you want someone to talk to, I'm here, don't worry. Like, my office is always open to you. And she just lets around this, just a broom closet. And then later that night,
Okay.
like there's I don't know, maybe there's like a neighbor out walking their dog or something in the woods. And then the dog gets off the leash, and then they're like, Carney,
Okay,
come
yeah.
here, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Dog runs off, and the person goes after her like, Carney, here boy, come on, where are you?
And you just hear like the or like of the dog like yelping or some shit.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
oh my god, what happened? And so they're like, oh, I just need to get out of here. The dog's gone. And then
Yeah.
in front of her, there's like a bright blue light. And then, that's the end of episode 1. And then episode 2 will start. I'm going to set you up here because I'm going to pass it over because I've been speaking a lot. But episode 2 will start with
Okay.
like an investigation type thing. Like, what? I don't know. Give me 2 cop names.
Covey and Dutton.
Yeah, Covey and Dutton. They're like walk up to the crime scene, like, oh, what's happened here? Like, nobody knows, but this woman's been like viciously mauled and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's like a scientist person as well who's like, oh, I found like this weird, like, I don't know, I can't think of a word for it, but this weird matter that was
Okay.
on the ground. And you can take it from here. Go for it, because I've been
Okay.
I led that quite a lot there.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Okay, so he's like, oh, there's this weird matter, like a sludge or something.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. On the ground, and they're like, ooh, what's this then? Ooh, do we want to make the two of them? Do we want to make Dutton and Covey like blithering idiots, and or should we have them like actually be good at their job? More,
I
like
think
a
they're
hopper.
quite competent,
Yeah.
but they don't believe in all this supernatural quite shit. So
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
like
that's
kind of
fair
like a hopper,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there'll be like that going on in the background. Maybe one of them is like Charlie's like uncle who's living at their place or something.
Mhm.
So that, yeah. So it kind of yeah. So they're like, what the hell is this? And you're like, not a clue. It's like, let's take it back for spectral inspection. I don't know science. And so like the shot is like them holding up this sludge, just like looking at it, and then it smash cuts to what's her friend's name? Emily?
Lily?
Lily? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it smash cuts to Lily like holding like a pot of jelly, and she's like, "What is this?"
Mm.
It's not jelly; it's like a pot of sludge or whatever.
Yeah.
Like in the dining hall,
Yeah.
because I'm a sucker for match cuts and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And she's like, ugh, because like they've been like slamming it on the plate, and they're all sat there, and they're like, so how's everyone finding everything? Blah blah blah. And Charlie's like, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about maybe trying out for the drama club or whatever. There's this cute girl there.
Oh yeah.
And you just see Lily out the corner of her eyes, just kind of like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. 'Cause we should probably set up some sort of like romance thing or whatever. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's one of those teeny shows.
Mm.
And they're all like, they're all got their own stuff going on, kind of. So they're like less and less connected.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah,
Just get,
like On My Block, kind of. Like how
Mhm.
they all kind of drift apart by the end. But the thing that brings them together is like, this is our Scooby Doo episode. The thing that brings them together is solving a mystery. Yeah. So I think skipping over a few episodes, because it's just like attacks are happening,
Yeah.
and like essentially things are starting to like, they're less and less like coincidence.
Yeah.
And like there's only so much that Mona can ignore. Like there's a voice in her head, like the effect.
Yeah.
She's able to like kind of push it down. She's like, no, we're gonna keep moving, everything's fine, blah 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 blah. But then we see then that like a few days will go by, or weeks will go by or whatever, and it's like more attacks have been happening. Her friends don't all sit together at lunch. Maybe some days it's just her and Charlie, some days it's just her and Lily, some days it's just Lily and Charlie, etc., etc. And then until one day when she's just sat there and there's no one else there, and she's just sat eating on her own, and then the camera like pans out, and you see like the whole cafeteria is full except for her. She's just sat there on her own on the table. So you see Steve Buscemi like sat in his office, like reading his book or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just hear her on the door.
Mm.
And he's like, oh, hi, come in, blah, 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 blah. And like they're sat there, this is basically just Edge of 17. Shit.
No, because I feel like I want him to have a bigger supernatural role,
Yeah,
like,
no, same.
Yeah.
So like she's spending time with him and whatnot, and the two of them are getting quite close. Not in like a creepy way, just in like a, oh yeah, I respect you. Yeah. But also, so Mona's very much into her like academics. She's probably the smartest out of them because she was the one who used to come up with the plans and everything.
Yeah.
So she's also been enjoying. What class is it Michael Cera's teaching?
English literature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So she's been she's been really enjoying that one as well. Maybe she's like got a crush on him or whatever. I don't know, something like that, So etc. Things move on and things point out, and until there's a point. Let's say maybe there's like a big high school football game or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. So instead of drama, Charlie tries out for football.
Yeah. Well, what's
Because
the sport? We did this on our Dora episode as well. What's the sport?
Yeah.
Because all these things have like
a sport, but
Yeah.
not football.
yeah, and they try to stand out with it.
Water polo.
Yeah, screw it. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So he's like the star of the water polo team now.
Mhm.
He's like a bench warmer, and then he gets like the game-winning shot or whatever.
Yeah.
And like the girl
Nice
on
team.
the team, not on the team, the girl on the cheerleader is like, "Ooh, you're so sexy!"
Yeah, it's got one of those
And they're all
Riverdale shots where it's like proper hard music.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And
Carry
they like kiss, and then like the camera like pans out of them kissing, and like between them you just see Lily's face, and she's like really upset, and you see her like kind of storm off or whatever. And they're like, oh, and Mona's like, Lily, what's wrong? Come back.
The
et cetera, et
trials
cetera.
and tribulations of high school water polo.
So like Lily's just like walking home on her own, and she's just like, ugh, and you just hear.
Oh.
Anyway, she like carries. Actually, no. Maybe she's on a bike,
Mhm.
and there's just music in her ear, and it's like, "Baby, you're like lightning in a bottle." you know, like some shit like that.
Yeah.
She's just like she's just like riding along, and like one of the street lights go out,
Oh.
and then the next one and the next one. She's like, what the hell was that? Oh, whatever. Riding.
Oh.
She just screeches on the brakes on her bike. Hello? Who's out there? And like something just goes to plow into the side of her. It like just yeets itself at her, and
Oh.
just flying through the air, you just see I was Dora. You just see Mona come through and just sidekick her in the head.
God damn.
Not her, sorry.
The monster thing.
The creature,
Yeah.
yeah. And she's just like, get behind me, Lily, because like Lily's like she's because she hasn't got her imagination or whatever
Yeah.
active. Maybe that's where the power comes from, the imagination. So it is a real thing, but you need an imagination to have it.
Mm.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Which is why so many adults are the bad guys, because they don't have imagination. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So she's like, get behind me, blah blah blah. She's like, can you like do whatever your power was? And she's like, oh no, I don't, I haven't done that in ages. And she's like, it's fine. And then like all the street lights just come back on, and they look up, and then you look, and the monster's gone.
Mm.
Like it was like there, it was like snarling at her, and like it's just gone. And what's her name? So maybe like Mona's been saying, oh, I don't know, if something feels a bit off.
Yeah.
But no, Lily's been the one who's been saying that. And then they just stood there next to each other, and Lily's like, do you believe me now?
Oh.
End of episode 3 or episode 4, something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
And then they're just like investigating and stuff, classic who's a Maha and whatnot.
Mm.
And what they basically figure out essentially is that whoever it is a teacher at the school.
Ah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And all trails point towards what's his name, Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they lock him up or whatever, like at the school, and he's like, you shouldn't be doing this. You're gonna regret this. This is a big mistake. Blah 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 blah. And they're like, we've got you now. You can't. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Mona's like, I trusted you.
Yeah. It's like a big emotional thing there.
Yeah.
But then, what's his name goes? Maybe Charlie's girlfriend or whatever goes missing.
Beforehand,
like, no, guy.
they like try to get him on board with like the investigations. He's like, no, I'm popular now. I don't need you guys. I got water polo and my hot girlfriend, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And he's just like, he just shows up and he's like, what have you found?
Yeah.
They took Jessica. I don't know.
Maybe like maybe Lily's like, oh, now that it's convenient to you, like now you want to join, and Mona's like, guys, come on, like she's just happy to have all her friends back together and that. So
and they're like, well, then blah 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 blah. We've got him tied up. He can't be like we've got him tied up right here. It can't be him. And they turn around and he's gone.
Oh.
Like, so there's just like a pile of rope on the chair or whatever, and they're like, well, we have to go and find him before he strikes again. It's a full moon. This is the most dangerous night of the year. Blah blah blah. So there's like a school. There's a school dance going on the same night as this full moon, and they like rock up to the school dance, and you just hear, boom, and they like kick the door down, and they're in like full garb. But like maybe it's been modernized. They're not just in like a fucking bed sheet. Also, her hair that seems like mildly black. Like
maybe you could cast her as like a black
as
girl.
a young black girl.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty.
I think that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd see that. Yeah. No one's really springing to mind, but yeah, okay, yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
And they're going through the thing, and they're like, what? And everyone's like, oh, what's going on? Ha ha. But it turns out that not all the people have been being killed. Like the sludge that's like left behind is what turned some of them into these creatures as well. but like not like the king creature. They're just like cronies.
Yeah.
And Mona's like, everyone, you need to get out of here now. And they're like, we're not listening to you.
Yeah.
And then like a group of them will jump through the skylight, and they're all like, oh my god, ah. And Mona's like, stay calm, I've got this. And then you just see Charlie like whip out his little ray gun. He's like,
Yeah.
bam, 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 and takes them all out. And then like Lily like throws her tiara and it like flies around like a batarang, slices some of their heads off, and then like Mona comes flipping in,
Yeah.
and she's just like bam, 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 bam.
Maybe she's got like
And,
the
like-
cat in the backpack, like Miles
Yeah.
Morales.
Yeah, that's hard. And like they all land in like hero poses, and everyone's like, okay, yeah, listen to them, everyone evacuate. And like Michael Cera comes up and he's like, oh, you guys, you all good? What's going on here? And Mona's like, I've got no time to explain. We need to help get as many people out as you. Do you know where Mr. Buscemi is? And he's like, oh yeah, I saw him. Here, follow me. So like she's running. She's like, I'll go with him. You guys keep an eye on. You handle everything here. So like they're all fighting and whatnot. And Mona's like, oh, whereabouts did you say he was? And he was like, oh, don't you worry about them. And like closes the door behind.
Oh.
And do you know how much of a pain in my ass you've been? And he like transforms
Ugh.
into like the big king one or whatever. Plot twist: it was Michael Cera the whole time.
Oh.
But we all saw it coming.
Yeah.
And Mona like she can't get to her friends because they're all like off all the way over there. And he's like triple the size of her. He's huge.
Yeah.
And you know he's like slamming and like boom, boom, and like kicking the shit out of her. And he's like this close to like snapping her neck, and then you just see like a steak flies through the window, not like the meat, like a like a wooden steak,
Yeah.
and it lands like in the hand of the teacher.
I think this is going the exact same way we thought. Carry on.
Is that actually?
Carry on.
He looks at his hand. He's like, "What the?" And he looks up like at the window, and he just hears tick tick tick. No. In the steak is ticking.
Yeah.
It's like tick 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 tick. And the Steve Buscemi comes yeeting through. Oh, shit!
Yeah.
Comes yeeting through the window. And he's got a revolver, but like instead of like bullets, it's like stakes.
Oh.
And he's like bam 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 bam. Bam. And he's like, oh, I never did tell you my real name, did I? The name's Mr. Helsing.
Oh my god, that's exactly what I was thinking. Oh my god.
So like Steve Buscemi is like, but he's not just like a regular Van Helsing either. He's like, you know, like Blade. So he's like, his wife and family were murdered by
Yeah.
Michael Cera. So Michael Cera. Let's say the vampire. It's like vampirism.
Yeah.
But it's more like the king will like take over like a host.
Yeah.
You know, like in Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
With
like
the-
that. Like it takes over a host body every few millennia or whatever. So the two of them have been in this battle for
Yeah.
centuries.
Maybe
So
like
the
the next
reason he got the
episode
job,
is like
Yeah.
that explanation or whatever.
and there's like flashbacks and shit like that. So he manages to escape or whatever. And Mona's like shot to shit, and they're like fixing her. Yeah, so he's fixing her up
Yeah.
and whatnot, and then that's when they're telling the story of like. So essentially, what's happened is he's like from the 1700s or whatever. Like, and the Salem witch trials, it was never witches, it was this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't think of an evil name, but it was him. And he gets his wife murdered because he's like, oh, she's a witch,
Yeah.
and then he got rid of the wife so he could like take over the body of the son as his next vessel,
Oh.
which he does. So then this guy's now got this. Yeah, Van Helsing's got to fight his son.
Oh.
And he ends up like killing his son. But like just before as he kills him, as the son's dying in his arms, he can like. So the evil guy who doesn't have a name, we should give him a name because that will make it.
Cragshaw.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, cool. So Cragshaw, yeah, can like hop through. He can like leave a body whenever he wants,
Mhm.
but then he has to find another body like immediately, or shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
So he leaves the son's body as he's dying. So the son like comes
Oh.
back to life, like comes back as him, and he's
Mhm.
like, "What's that? Dad? Did you?" So his son like dies in his
Oh.
own arms, thinking that his dad killed him
Oh.
because he did, and he's just like, "Ah!" And then he goes and finds Cragshaw,
Yeah.
and the two of them are fighting or whatever, and some
Meanwhile,
of Cragshaw's
wait,
blood.
pause.
Oh,
Come back to that. Meanwhile, back to Charles and Lily. They were like fighting on their own, and
yeah.
those detectives come in as well to this school because they're like finally found out and whatnot. And maybe they sort out that whole thing, but they're like, oh, we can't have vigilantes in our city, or whatever. Like we, can't have a couple of kids in costumes like doing our job. And they're like, so they're maybe like aiming at them. Charlie's got his zapper or whatever, and maybe he's like, wait a minute, these detectives, they're like a couple or whatever. They're actually the parents of Jessica or whatever. So he's like, wait,
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Rasva,
No,
whatever.
no, Mr. and Mr.
Oh, Mr. and
Maybe
Mr.
Jessica's got yeah.
Yeah, sure.
progressive.
He like puts off like Mr. and Mr. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's me,
Charlie.
it's Charlie. And then they're like, oh god, like we'll let you go this once, but whenever this kind of stuff happens, you need to let us know. And he's like, yeah, sure. We need to go find Mona, and we need to find your daughter as well. And so that happens. That gives like them another thing. And did you know who you wanted the new body to be?
Yeah, Jessica.
Jessica. Okay, I thought I was gonna
say
go
Jessica.
with
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna go with like George or Angela,
Oh,
one
or
of the
the other
rivals. Yeah.
I liked the idea of that, but then I was like, I feel like it's a bit too on the and like I want to bring them back as well. Like maybe,
Yeah, maybe like they think they've defeated Cragshaw, but then it's like
yeah,
gone
then Cragshaw,
into
like, slips into
Angela or something. Yeah.
Because I feel like they haven't been like super present in the story. As
Yeah.
much. So I think it would make more sense.
Definitely
So like yeah,
season
Cragshaw
2.
like right. Yeah, that's hard. That's hard.
Okay. Go back to the fight then with them.
So basically, I feel like I tend to get really invested whenever I'm like pitching a fight scene of
No,
some
yeah, they're
kind.
really good though, so don't worry about it.
Cragshaw and Van Helsing have been fighting back in the 1700s or whatever, and some of Cragshaw's blood gets in Van Helsing's body and whatnot,
Yeah.
and so now he's cursed to walk the earth forevermore. Their souls are bound,
Yeah.
until one of them is slain. So Van Helsing's like, yeah, and that's my story. I'm just Steve Buscemi as like a fucking vampire hunting guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe all this explanation episode
Yeah.
is like episode 8 or whatever, and then the next episode 9, is the last one of the season. So Lily and Charles walk it. Oh, go on.
I'm just thinking in the explanation thing, I want like Mona to be. It's why the Van House is like his like final bit is like, oh, this is where I started working at this high school because I knew this certain girl was coming into high school and it was about time she knew her true calling.
Yeah.
And then it just like hits. It just pans to her on the first day when they're like, like how he was like cleaning up and she was like, oh, look at that guy, and it goes back to that scene, but like from his perspective.
Yeah.
And then that's when the episode ends. And it cuts back, and later on we'll find out why Mona's so important.
It turns out that she's like this ancient being known as for Criari.
Ooh.
Criare, which
Oh,
is
was-
Latin for to create. It's the closest
It's
thing
sort
I could find
for
to
like imagination. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
Quite
thinking she's
essentially.
like a connection between two worlds as well, and like
Yeah,
she's the only one who can kind of put Cragshaw back into that world. And
yeah.
mm,
But oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's why like Cragshaw didn't like kill her because he was like, oh, you know, I can use you to bring all my like
people back.
my yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. Oh, yeah. So
Um,
when he was about to like end her, basically, well, what we thought was gonna end her, he was gonna actually
Yeah.
try and unlock this portal to like,
he was gonna take over her body so he could
Yeah,
like bring
yeah.
all the yeah.
and then
Okay.
that's the ultimate power. Haha.
Okay, so cut to final episode. Then there's beefing, there's fight, there's this big final climax and whatnot.
Yeah.
Question: do we want to kill what's his name, Steve Buscemi?
Um.
Because I kind of like the idea of him coming back.
I think he could be like. He needs to teach Mona how to use her sort of like
Yeah.
power and stuff. So
Yeah. Okay.
maybe he just gets like, he loses an arm or something, and he's like
Yeah.
not in shape
Yeah, that's
as
hard.
how he used to be. So he can't like fully be this massive, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Hell.
So he's fighting Cragshaw, and as they're fighting, like the arm gets ripped off or whatever. All her friends are all like scattered around. She's like shitting herself, and he's like, ah ha ha ha. He's like, you don't even know what you are. You don't know, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Maybe the whole show though, in the back of her mind, there's just been like this voice that she
Yeah.
keeps hearing here and there, and it's like like the theme song. It's like grab your cat, grab your cat. It's like that voice.
Yeah.
And like Cragshaw's like, you don't know who you are. You don't know what you are. It's wasted on you, a child.
Yeah.
What are you? Some sort of little girl? And she's like, no, I'm so much more than that. And she closes her eyes and she opens them and they're like pure white.
Oh,
And she goes, I'm a vampire. And she's like levitating.
goddamn.
So like somehow because it's like a real fight or flight situation, she's tapped into like just the pure energy of the power that she has.
Yeah.
And like Cragshaw like runs towards her and he's like, ah, and she like claps her hands and there's like a ripple effect throughout the whole town.
Oh.
And it's like vroom, vroom, vroom. So what she's done is she like summoned energy from the other dimension or whatever to like exorcise him from the body.
Oh yeah.
And of course, because if there's not, okay, so then one of the the bullies show up, and they're just like watching everything. They're like, oh, this is all actually real. Oh shit.
Yeah.
And then one of them runs away. The other one, yeah, the boy runs away.
Mhm.
The girl bully doesn't,
Yeah.
which is why she's nearby. So they're like, cool. There's no other bodies like near him. He'll run out of power.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. So she like exorcises him. But what's happened that we find out at the end of the episode is that in her like doing that, the energy that she brought over wasn't just in like to exercise him. It like brought like all like a load of different creatures over to this dimension.
Yeah.
So yes, it exercises him, but
It
you know,
also
at
has
what
a bad-
cost?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it brings all these creatures over as well.
Mm.
And because Van Helsing's been like fighting them for all these years, he's like, oh, I can teach you kids what you need to know
Yeah.
to beat these guys essentially. And then like the season ends
Mm-hmm.
with whichever bully it is, like
Yeah.
just like there's like a ball of sludge like levitating,
Mm.
and they're just like manipulating it like that.
Yeah, I was thinking
And they're
like,
like-
maybe it's like a voice. So Angela, let's say it's the girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's like,
Yeah.
she really hates Mona. So
Yeah.
she's like, the voice
Like a
is
real
like,
Venom
oh,
kind
I
of-
know. We both want the same thing, and then
Yeah.
she's like, to kill Mona. Then it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I fucks with that.
and that's a good place
So
to
like,
leave it. I think.
so Mona and her friends are gonna be trained by
Ye-
what's his name,
Steve
who
Buscemi.
now has like a robot arm maybe or something cool like that. I got quite upset for a split second then because I was like, oh, I want to watch season 2, but it's not a real show.
Maybe
I
a
like it.
future episode then. Mona the
yeah.
Vampire season 2.
I feel like it's kind of got that kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind
Yeah.
of energy.
Mm. Yeah.
Well,
Very
what did you think?
It's
So-
good. No, I think it was
I
really
feel
good.
like- yeah. I liked it because I feel like there were chunks where you were just like, yeah, and then there were chunks where I was
Bro.
like, yeah,
When you said the Van Halen, we had the exact same idea.
that's
Like,
right.
if you didn't say it, I was gonna say I kind of want him to burst through the window, and he's like
Oh,
in this
yeah.
Van Helsing gear, like
Yeah, but like he's like rolling and he's like,
yeah,
yeah.
Oh.
Do you remember that film, The Dark Tower, that came out like a few years
Oh yeah,
back?
yeah. I never saw
Yeah,
it, but
and,
I
like,
remember seeing the
No,
trailer
neither
like
did
loads
I.
of times.
But it's like Idris Elba like flying through the air with a gun, like
Yeah.
like that. That's hard.
Anyway, thanks everyone for listening again to another episode of Reinventing the Real. As always, you can find our socials at That Real Pod or Reinventing the Real.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the whole shebang. But who uses Facebook in this day and age?
Yeah.
Let's be real. Yeah.
All right then.
Yeah.
I've been Cameron.
And I've been Curtis.
See you next
I'll
week,
see you
man.
next week, man.